There's a certain buzz surrounding the New England Patriots right now, and it feels like every new development is adding another layer to what could become a defining stretch for the franchise. From trade whispers involving elite defensive talent to the constant noise around legendary figures, the conversation is heating up fast, and fans are trying to separate what actually matters from what's just smoke in the air. Let's start with the situation that's quietly gaining traction across the league. The contract adjustments involving Myles Garrett have sparked a wave of speculation, and not without reason. When language gets tweaked in a deal like that, it's rarely accidental. Around the league, that kind of move is often interpreted as a signal, not necessarily that a trade is imminent, but that the door is no longer locked. For a player widely considered the most dominant defensive force in football right now, even the slightest hint of availability is enough to get front offices thinking aggressively. And for a team like New England, always looking to reshape its identity, that kind of opportunity could be too big to ignore if it ever becomes real. At the same time, another storyline has been making noise, but this one feels more like a familiar echo than a legitimate possibility. Tom Brady stirred conversation once again after casually addressing the idea of a return to the field. It didn't take long for that comment to explode across the football world, because when Brady speaks about anything related to playing, people listen. But if you really break it down, it feels much more like a calculated moment than an actual plan. He knows exactly how to keep himself in the spotlight, and even in retirement, he understands how to drive the narrative. The reality is, Brady has consistently made it clear that he's content where he is. Sure, stepping back onto a field, even in a casual environment, can bring back that competitive itch. That feeling never truly leaves players of his caliber. But there's a massive difference between enjoying the game in a relaxed setting and committing to the grind of a full NFL season. At his stage in life, with everything he's already accomplished, the idea of a serious comeback feels more like a headline generator than a genuine scenario. It grabs attention, it fuels debates, but when you strip it down, it doesn't carry the same weight as the roster decisions currently shaping the Patriots' future. And that's really where the focus should be shifting, toward what this team is building right now. With the draft approaching quickly, the Patriots are sitting in a position that could define the direction of the roster for years. There's been plenty of speculation about where they'll go with their first selection, but one area continues to stand out above the rest: the defensive edge. It's not just about adding depth, it's about finding a difference maker who can consistently disrupt opposing offenses. That's why the attention surrounding Zion Young is so significant. When a player like that gets brought in for a deeper evaluation, it tells you the interest is real. Physically, he checks all the boxes you'd expect from a modern edge rusher. He has the size, the length, and the kind of power that translates well to the professional level. But beyond the measurable traits, what stands out is how he plays the game. There's a balance between strength and explosiveness that makes him effective both against the run and when attacking the quarterback. For a team like New England, that versatility is incredibly valuable. They're not just looking for a pass rusher who can flash in obvious situations. They need someone who can stay on the field and impact every down. The ability to convert speed into power, to hold the edge, and to create pressure without needing constant support. That's the type of presence that can elevate an entire defensive unit. And internally, it seems like there's growing belief that Young could be that guy. The big question, though, revolves around timing and opportunity. Will he still be available when the Patriots are on the clock, or will they need to make a move to secure him? That's where draft strategy becomes critical. Sitting back and hoping your target falls into your lap is always a gamble, especially when other teams are evaluating the same talent. But moving up comes with its own risks, particularly in a draft where multiple needs still exist across the roster. Even so, when you identify a player who fits your system and addresses a key weakness, sometimes the aggressive move is the right one. And from the outside looking in, this feels like a situation where New England might be seriously weighing that option. Because if they believe Young can anchor that edge position for years to come, passing on that chance could be something they regret later on. All of this ties into a broader theme surrounding the Patriots right now, which is identity. There's a clear effort to reshape how this team plays, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Adding the right pieces isn't just about talent. It's about building a unit that can dictate the pace of the game. And when you combine that with the ongoing discussions around potential blockbuster moves and the ever-present shadow of past legends, it creates a fascinating moment for the franchise, one where every decision feels amplified and every rumor carries just enough weight to keep fans locked in, waiting to see what comes next. As the roster continues to take shape, there's another layer to this evolving identity that doesn't always grab headlines, but could end up playing a huge role in how this offense operates. It's not about the flashy plays or the big-name signings, but rather about the details that define physical football. And that brings the spotlight to a position that has quietly been reintroduced with purpose, the fullback role, now represented by Reggie Gilliam. For a long time, that position felt like it was fading out of the modern game, especially as offenses lean more into spread formations and passing concepts. But in New England, there's a clear shift happening, and it reflects a desire to return to something more balanced, more controlled, and at times, more punishing. Bringing in a player like Gilliam isn't just about filling a spot on the depth chart. It's about redefining how the offense can function situationally, giving it the flexibility to move between styles without losing efficiency. What makes Gilliam such an intriguing addition is the range of things he can do on the field. This isn't a one-dimensional blocker who simply clears space and disappears from the play. He has the ability to contribute in multiple phases, whether it's opening lanes in the running game, slipping out into the flat as a receiving option, or even carrying the ball when needed. That kind of versatility forces defenses to think twice, because they can't simply predict what's coming based on personnel alone. And when you hear someone like James Devlin speak highly of him, it adds another layer of credibility. Devlin understands exactly what it takes to thrive in that role within this system. He knows the physical demands, the awareness required, and the mindset needed to set the tone from the backfield. So when that level of respect is given, it tells you that Gilliam isn't just a temporary piece, but someone who could genuinely influence how this unit evolves moving forward. This also connects directly to the broader offensive philosophy being shaped under Josh McDaniels. There's a clear intention to expand the playbook in a way that allows for more creativity without sacrificing structure. Having a true fullback opens up formations that can disguise intentions, making it harder for opposing defenses to anticipate whether the play is designed to attack through the air or on the ground. It brings back an element of unpredictability that can be incredibly valuable, especially in critical moments of a game. At the same time, this shift places added importance on other developing pieces within the offense. Players who are expected to step into larger roles will now have to adapt to a system that demands more from them in terms of awareness and execution. The presence of a fullback can enhance the running game, but it also requires precise timing and coordination across the entire unit. It's a collective effort, and if it clicks, it can transform how effectively the Patriots control the tempo of a game. While these internal adjustments are taking place, there's also an external narrative forming around where this team stands compared to the rest of its division. Despite their recent success, the New England Patriots are not being viewed as the top contender in their own backyard. That label is currently being placed on the Buffalo Bills, and the gap in perception is impossible to ignore. It's not just about who is favored, it's about how strongly that belief is being projected. Buffalo is being positioned as the clear team to beat, while New England finds itself in a role that many within the organization are probably more comfortable with, the underdog. There's a certain edge that comes with that label, a kind of internal motivation that can fuel preparation and sharpen focus. When expectations are lowered externally, it often creates an opportunity to build something stronger internally. What makes this dynamic even more interesting is how the rest of the division stacks up. Teams like the New York Jets and the Miami Dolphins are still in the conversation, but there's a noticeable separation between them and the top tier. That creates a scenario where every divisional matchup carries added weight, especially for a Patriots team that's trying to prove that last season was not an outlier, but the beginning of something sustainable. From a psychological standpoint, this kind of environment can be powerful. Players and coaches don't need to manufacture motivation when the narrative is already set against them. It becomes part of the daily mindset, something that drives performance in subtle but meaningful ways. And for a team guided by a strong coaching presence, that kind of chip on the shoulder can be turned into a real advantage over the course of a long season. There's also a broader sense of anticipation building as key off-season milestones get closer. The draft is approaching rapidly, bringing with it the chance to add another foundational piece. Shortly after, organized team activities will begin, offering the first real glimpse into how all these moving parts start to come together on the field. Then comes training camp, where competition intensifies and roles begin to solidify. Each of these stages carries its own importance, but together, they form the path that will define what this Patriots team ultimately becomes. It's a process that requires patience, attention to detail, and a willingness to adapt. And while there are still plenty of questions that need to be answered, there's also a growing sense that something meaningful is being built behind the scenes, driven by a combination of strategic decisions, calculated risks, and a renewed commitment to establishing a clear and consistent identity. And as this process unfolds, another element starts to quietly gain importance, and that is leadership inside the locker room. Not just the vocal presence, but the kind of leadership that shows up in preparation, in discipline, and in the ability to keep a team grounded when expectations start to shift. With so many moving pieces and new faces being integrated, maintaining that internal standard becomes critical. It's not something that shows up on a stat sheet, but it often determines how quickly a team can come together and perform under pressure. There's also the matter of how quickly these schemes, both offensive and defensive, can translate from paper to execution. It's one thing to design a system that looks versatile and unpredictable, but it's another to have every player fully understand their role within it. Timing, communication, and trust all play a part, and those are things that can only be built through repetition. Early in the season, that learning curve can sometimes be exposed, especially against more established teams, but it also creates room for growth if the foundation is solid. At the same time, the physical identity of the team seems to be taking center stage again. There's a noticeable emphasis on strength at the line of scrimmage, on controlling space, and on dictating the rhythm of the game rather than reacting to it. That approach doesn't always lead to highlight reel moments, but over the course of a season, it can wear opponents down and create opportunities when it matters most. It's a style that demands consistency and effort on every snap, and when executed properly, it becomes incredibly difficult to counter. All of this builds toward a season that feels less about immediate validation and more about long-term direction. The pieces being put in place now are not just for a single run, but for establishing something that can sustain success over time. There's an understanding that not everything will click instantly, but if the structure is right and the commitment remains strong, the results will start to follow, and when they do, they could reshape how this team is viewed across the league. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to Patriots Hub and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our New England Patriots. And don't be shy, share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers are beginning to circulate around the New England Patriots facility, and they carry a familiar tone, one that echoes the glory days of dominant tight end play. League insiders suggest the franchise is quietly exploring the possibility of adding a high-profile weapon to support young quarterback Drake Maye, a move that could reshape the offensive identity in Foxborough. The name itself remains just out of reach, but the profile is clear, a tight end valued near the $19 million mark, a player with the size, hands, and versatility to become a focal point in the passing game. For a team searching for stability and explosiveness, the speculation alone has ignited comparisons to a bygone era when the position was not just a role, but a cornerstone. Sources close to the situation hint that internal discussions have intensified, with coaching staff intrigued by the potential of pairing a developing quarterback with a proven mismatch creator. The logic is simple yet compelling. Provide Maye with a reliable safety valve who can stretch the middle of the field, command defensive attention, and open opportunities for the rest of the offense. There is also a strategic layer to the rumor. Investing heavily in a tight end signals a commitment to building around structure and efficiency rather than relying solely on wide receiver production. It's a blueprint that once brought sustained success, and some believe the organization may be tempted to revisit that formula. Still, questions linger. Would such a significant financial commitment align with the team's long-term rebuild? And is this mystery player truly capable of living up to the immense expectations that come with such comparisons? For now, It remains speculation, an intriguing possibility rather than a confirmed pursuit. But in a league driven by bold moves and calculated risks, the mere suggestion that New England could be hunting for its next elite tight end is enough to capture attention. If the rumor proves true, it could mark the beginning of a new chapter, one that feels strikingly familiar, yet entirely its own. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our New England Patriots, be sure to subscribe to Patriots Hub and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.